Let the jousting be. Warrior, wish to continue?
Hello and welcome to the Arcade Trivia Game Show! Today's contestants will be competing for over 3 billion pixels in prizes! So without further ado, on to the first question.
What was the original name for Blaster? A. Big Blaster.
Right answer, wrong order.
Only about 1,000
Hello and welcome to the Arcade. Hello and welcome to the Arcade Trivia Game Show! Today's contestants will be competing for over 3 billion pixels in prizes! So without further ado, on to the first question.
What was the original name for Blaster? A. Big Blaster. B.
The name that we wanted to use was Master Blaster, and we discovered at the time that there was a pinball simulation program called Billy Budge's Raster Blaster available for the Apple computer, so decided to change the name to avoid confusion. We pondered and toiled for a couple of weeks to come up with a better name for the game, and in frustration ended up just simply shortening it to Blaster.
Only about 1,000 Blaster arcade games were made before the great video game crash of 83-84 put a freeze on the industry. How many sit-down cabinets were finished?
Nice try, but no cigar.
In addition to the normal wood cabinet and sit-down version, some blasters had cylindrical plastic cabinets called Duramold. Why weren't more of these neat plastic contraptions produced? Finished in 1983, Blaster was the third and final game, after Defender 2 and Robotron, that Eugene Jarvis and Larry DeMar's VidKids company produced.
Hello and welcome to the Arcade Trivia Game Show! Today's contestants will be competing for over 3 billion pixels in prizes! So without further ado, on to the first question.
What was the original name for Blaster? A. Big Blaster. B. Master Blaster. Or C. Blaster Master.
Hello and welcome to the Arcade. Hello and welcome to the Arcade Trivia Game Show! Today's contestants will be competing for over 3 billion pixels in prizes! So without further ado, on to the first question.
What?
In your dreams.
Only about
3. One is on display at my dad's house in Palo Alto. The other game, well, actually the second game, was converted into a Devastator game, which is a very limited edition prototype. And there have been unconfirmed sightings of the third game. Its actual whereabouts are unknown at this time.
In addition to the normal wood cabinet and sit-down version, some blasters had cylindrical plastic cabinets called Duramold. Why weren't more of these neat plastic contraptions produced? A.
Hey, you can light my fire, but there's no way you can burn a Duramold.
Finished in 1983, Blaster was the third and final game, after Defender 2 and Robotron, that Eugene Jarvis and Larry DeMar's VidKids company produced. It was originally conceived as an Atari 800 game. Upon completion of the game for Atari, Eugene and Larry A. were told to add dancing girls to the game before Atari would pay them.
Well, the day after we cashed the check, Atari supernovaed, and Jack Tramiel fired 90% of the workforce in the great video game crash. Unfortunately, not a single remaining Atari employee knew of the existence of the Blaster project, and Blaster forever vanished into the rubble of the great video game debacle.
Creating one of the earliest first-person shooting games with a 3D perspective in 1983 was a technical feat. It took a year to create the game. Which of the following was one of Blaster's biggest technical challenges? A. Unreliable ROM burners. B.
While we have a lot of mice at Williams, their appetite seems to be chewing through the garbage and not on the power supplies.
What features were originally street tested for Blaster but left out of the production version? A. An arcade shaking subwoofer for sound effects. B. A bonus round where you shoot caricatures of the programmers. Or C. 30 levels instead of 20 with buy-in capability.
After initial testing, the ability to buy in and continue your game when it was over by inserting additional money was removed from the game. At the same time, the game was shortened from 30 stages to 20 stages to make it possible to complete it on one coin. At this time, there was a stage called Outer Space, which among other things had this gargantuanly large Starship Enterprise that would just fly over your head for about 3 miles, and that whole stage was removed at this time.
What was the processor speed of the Blaster 6809 chip? A. 25 MHz, B. 200 MHz, or C. 1 MHz?
Nope.
Root Beer Tapper was originally known as just Tapper, and initially conceived as a video game that would just be sold to bars. It was an officially licensed product of what company? A. Budweiser, B. Pabst Blue Ribbon, or C. Old Style?
That'd be Budweiser, and the way that came about was Scott and I came up with an idea for a bar game, and we were intrigued by the idea of sliding beers and empty mugs down a bar, and what kind of action you could get with a bartender and some angry customers or some happy customers. And we did some initial design work on that, and we went to Midway. And there was a fellow at Midway who was very good at getting licenses. I think his name was Tom Neiman. And he went out and talked to Budweiser in St. Louis, got them excited, and we all went down and talked to them some more, and Budweiser was on board.
The Tapper arcade game included what unique features to attract the beer-drinking video game players? A. Side mount.
Wrong.
Tapper was first play-tested in public at what Rush Street bar in Chicago? A. T.J. McGillicuddy's, B. The Snuggery, or C. The Czar Bar?
Well, we tested Tapper first in the Snuggery, and that was a new kind of testing for us. We'd previously only tested in arcades, and so I think Scott and I really enjoyed an opportunity to go test this in the evenings at the Snuggery, and it was exciting for us to watch players who were having a good time in the bar kind of wander over and get excited about a beer drinking game, a Budweiser game, and we enjoyed watching them, and we learned a lot from those initial tests. We knew we had a winner when we watched people play.
Game designer Scott Morrison listened to what group of bands joined a creation of Tapper that went on to inspire Tapper's third bar? A. REO Speedwagon, Loverboy, Night Ranger and Journey. B. Kenny Rogers, the Gatlin Brothers, Jimmy Buffett and Jerry Reed. Or C. Devo, the Talking Heads.
You know, we did have a Western bar, but I'm sorry, that's wrong.
Tapper programmer Steve Meyer also worked on what other quirky early 80s video games? A. A game where you must frantically set up dominoes. B. A game where you play a logger who rolls logs, chops down trees and tries to knock trees into other loggers. Or C. All. Tapper has an Easter egg that displays the creator's initials when you do the following. Hold all joysticks and Tapper handles in the down position and push the 1 and 2 player start buttons at the same time. This trick will only work when the game's in what mode? A. The cowboy bar. B. The attract mode. Or C. The bonus round.
Back in those days, creators of games were really not allowed to put their names or credits into the game, so we kind of snuck it in as an Easter egg. We really weren't supposed to, but we did anyways. During the attract scene, while the word Tapper is filling up with liquid, either beer or root beer, if you're holding all the controls down and press the player 1 start and player 2 start at the same time, our credits will come up on the screen.
What innovative feature was created but never made it to the final version of the game? A. A tournament competition version of the game that dispensed beer every time you won a round. Although the rights to Henry Mancini's Peter Gunn theme were bought for inclusion in a digitized soundtrack for Spy Hunter arcade game, another song was originally sought after and programmed into the prototype machine until it was determined that licensing costs for the music would be too much. Which song was originally used? A. The James Bond theme. B. The Mission Impossible theme. Or C. The theme from Shaft.
Get out of here! Get out of here!
The car in Spy Hunter, the G6155 CIA prototype interceptor, the numbers stand for designer George Gomez's birth date, was modeled after a real car that George Gomez owned at the time. It was also featured in promotional brochure photography for Spy Hunter. The car was A. A 1977 Gremlin. B. A 1983 Ferrari. Or C. A 1983 Z28.
The car was a 1983 Z28, which I had just gotten, and I'm a huge car nut, so I actually wanted to do lots of different cars, and one of the problems was that we really had tremendous limitations. I mean, you know, 32 by 32 pixel picture blocks, 2 of them stacked to draw the car. Couldn't get a lot of, you really couldn't get a lot of anything that looked like any real car. Originally I wanted it to be something even flashier, and we couldn't get it in. So the red, my car was red, the red didn't look great either. So we ended up with a white car that showed up really well, had some red and blue stripes on it.
Designer George Gomez said that at Midway in the early 80s, the only pressure the game designers really had was the pressure they put on themselves, because Midway, A. Had forgotten their development group existed because it was located off-site. B. Didn't think video games would ever be as profitable as pinball after the great video game crash of 83-84. Or C. Was living off a gravy train of Japanese licensed games, which at one point saw them cranking out almost 1,200 Pac-Man games a day. What third Spy Hunter chase sequence was deleted for lack of time and memory? A. An alpine ski chase sequence.
When we start doing a game, we typically throw in the kitchen sink before reality intrudes. And so this game had everything that you've ever seen in a spy movie. And the transformation to the boat, and then was supposed to be followed by a transformation to a flying device, something like the helicopter. So you could go head to head with the enemy helicopter that is such a bastard in the game.
Why did Joust 2 have a vertical monitor? A. To increase dive bombing action. B.
No, I don't think that'd work at all.
The transform button turns a player's character into a Pegasus. What's the best way to utilize this new character? A. Attacking enemies on solid ground.
Sorry, but I think if you tried that, you'd be history.
What famous artist served as design inspiration for Joust 2? A.
It's an easy question. My favorite artist is M.C. Escher, and Escher is famous for doing the drawings and sketches of three-dimensional objects forming out of two-dimensional space, and so that's why you see a lot of the buzzards falling out of the background and things of that nature. And just as a plus for me is we both share the same birthday.
Splat had a non-shooting style of gameplay which led to the introduction of what unique feature? A. Projectile.
Every day, but not in this game.
What film was one of the main inspirations behind Splat? A. Animal House. B. Porky's.
Good try, but nope, not Porky's.
Congratulations, you won! For playing, you'll receive a trip to our arcade media gallery, where you'll enjoy many fantastic arcade sites. And so, until next time, it's goodbye. Hello and welcome to the Arcade Trivia Game Show!